Guys, good Monday morning. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk here on the I Love CVille Network. We are live in Charlottesville, across Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. We are presented this Monday morning by Closure Title and Settlement Company, Ally Property Management, powered by Sigora Solar, and of course, YES Realty Partners. Find Keith Smith, Yoda Smith, and team online at YesRealtyPartners.com. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Why don't we take that artwork, that creative, that Riz Media artwork, and let's put it on screen here. Give me a thumbs up when you can. Keith Smith, guys, our executive producer and co-host of this program, a national award winner, was recognized as one of the top 30 real estate trendsetters in the United States of America for his accomplishments and contributions to the real estate industry. Riz Media, a 2022 newsmaker, Keith, the distinguished gentleman, Smith. In fact, we'll throw that in as a little additional gravy on some of the editions of the I Love CVille show to get the word out even more on Keith Smith. Yeah, Good morning, National Award winner Keith Smith. How are you?
I'm absolutely flattered, but Yona said I think we need to increase the door sizes in the house. So my head.
National awards, big deal.
It's a big thing, man. I posted a couple of things on Facebook today. I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm so honored, and those who watch.
You say thank you?
I say thank you, but
appreciate your support, your viewership and listenership.
Absolutely, I do. But for me to be stymied on what to say. That's saying something.
Keith Smith, guys, the national award winner. Judo, give us the thumbs up for you guys to look at the screen. So much we're going to cover today.
Creative thinker.
Creative thinker. Trendsetter.
Yeah.
Trendsetter.
Both my daughters went, really?
How many years have you been doing this show?
How many years are we doing the show? 3 years.
Yeah.
That's like 3 years we've been doing this.
3 years, and the show is 4 days a week. Johnny Ornella says, bravo, bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
Keith Smith, look at the screen, look at the screen.
Johnny.
Everyone, look at the screen right now.
Come on now.
The national award winner being honored on the screen here. Make sure you have that graphic ready to go, that artwork ready to go at all times for the I Love CVille show.
Johnny, we're gonna actually see you for dinner on Saturday at El Mariachi, so I'm looking forward to it.
I very much enjoy Johnny Ornelas. Plus people.
Ornelas, yeah.
Bill McChesney,
Beautiful.
hello and welcome to the
Bill,
program.
Thank you for your kind words.
Lee Elberson giving Keith Smith some props
maybe
on
not
LinkedIn
so many,
right now.
Maybe not so many kind words from Lee, but
we love Lee Elberson.
Love him. Thank you, Lee.
I think that gentleman's about to go to Louisiana for Mardi Gras and catch some beads. Lee Elberson, mi amigo.
Mardi Gras is a lot of fun, but I prefer Jazz Fest. I love Jazz Fest.
Lee Elberson, the co-chair of the Lee Elberson fan club, his mom, Cindy Elberson, resides in Louisiana. And he's bringing his other co-chair, the beautiful Alex, with him to Louisiana. Is that correct there, Senor Elberson?
Is he flying or driving?
I would imagine he's flying.
Oh, if he was driving, I'd get him to bring back some crawfish. Little mud bugs. They're my favorite.
He says, keep up the great work.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. Inventory is picking up, boys and girls.
Seems that way.
Inventory is picking up. We're also going to cover potentially confidence stateside as European trends are influencing COVID mitigation in our country. I started this in the teaser to begin the program. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson today said he's going to lift all remaining COVID restrictions in England. England and many countries in Europe now treating COVID as endemic. Will this influence additional inventory stateside as people feel more confident allowing strangers to walk in their home to potentially buy their home? And of course, we'll talk, and I'll get out of the way here. UVA, two-part with UVA. First part is the North Fork Development Project that was in the news today. Allison Rabel, rhymes with table, staff writer of the Daily Progress, has that story. And Michael Payne, City Councilor of Charlottesville, his proposed payment in lieu of taxes program, getting more money for UVA to help a budget deficit. I'm seeing some brick walls in the first and second innings of that proposal, and we'll let you know
I don't even think they're in the ballpark.
I don't even think they're out of the dugout.
I don't even think they're in the ballpark. Forget about getting out of the dugout. Look, I think it's a great idea. let me rephrase that. I think it's a great idea to explore. I don't know if it's a good idea or not because nobody's really vetted it completely out. And I think the world of Michael Payne, and he's trying to figure out how to put square pegs in round holes. Totally get it. But the likelihood of that happening is, I think, pretty minimal at this point. To go back to the open house thing, which is our chemistry's working a little bit. I'm looking at week over weeks over the last this same week. Over the last 3 months. So we've got 9 open houses currently listed to happen this Sunday. A month ago, it was only 4. So I think you're starting to see open houses pick back up, confidence pick back up. We're heading out of town here for a little while. The place that we're going to, their COVID is plummeting. It's like 60% lower rates are lower than it was a month ago. So maybe you're 100% right. Maybe this is trying, this has turned its corner. But I'd love to ask.
Bill Gates says COVID. This is what Bill Gates said over the weekend. And the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, in front of a heck of a lot of people at an event in Germany. He said COVID is for the most part over. He says another pandemic may be on the horizon, but the risks from COVID have been dramatically reduced, and COVID is darn near close to being over. Bill Gates.
Well, with all due respect to Bill Gates, I will take the word of my son-in-law, who's a doctor to son-in-law. COVID is never going to go away. It's just we now can manage it better.
That's what he meant.
On that end of it, yeah. So, to physically go away, I don't think it's going to happen, on that end of it.
So the health risks with vaccinations and management strategies are dramatically reduced the health risks, were his exact words.
Plus, Aramacon, if I said that right, a lot of that infection rate went through the roof. So a lot of people are getting the immunity to it because they received it. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV.
And you didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night either.
I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express. But can I ask Judah a question?
Please. Judah, 3-shot. I hope you have it ready. Microphone.
Because he's surely smarter than me. What is the definition of an endemic?
No, it's not. I learned this. It's not an endemic. It's endemic. How does COVID become endemic? Not COVID is an endemic.
Right.
It's not a pronoun.
So the difference is that pandemic is used as a noun, and endemic is more of a adjective. So something becomes endemic, which means that it's just usual.
Yeah.
It's par for the course.
So there's a formal definition for that.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't just come up with that.
No. I've been reading about this, that we're now in this phase. I never really actually read the definition.
I think what he was looking for, and you and I went immediately to, because you and I do this, to grammar, the grammar police there. I think what he was looking for was the definition of endemic. So maybe you call that up and read it, if you could, verbatim.
Yeah.
And we offered some grammatical perspective there because we both learned that.
This is way out of my pay grade, guys.
It's an adjective, not a noun or a pronoun, where pandemic is a noun or a pronoun and not an adjective.
So endemic can be a noun, but it's used in the form of an endemic plant or animal.
Okay.
There are 3 types of island endemic. So it's something that's just usual. And here's the adjective: of a disease or condition regularly found among particular people or in a certain area. I think the emphasis is on regularly.
Like the common cold, right?
Yeah.
Everybody gets the common cold at some point.
The cold is endemic in winter or whatever.
Got it. The same thing as the flu, right? The normal
That's a good one. Yeah.
Flu that comes go. Thank you. Putting pronouns and nouns and adjectives is not my thing, right?
You're someone whose thing that is your wonderful daughter who's watching in Seattle right now.
Oh.
Say good morning to her.
Good morning, Yvonne. So she would correct me on my English for sure.
I think she would. Congratulations to your fantastic father, Yvonne, for winning this fantastic award, a national award for this gentleman. Why don't you get it back on the screen again for his wonderful daughter?
Look, even Liza's clapping.
Yeah, that noise you hear in the background is Liza. She must have a tickle behind her ear. The I Love CVille mascot. The only person that I think Liza would leave with, it's Judah's dog, would be Keith.
Yeah, totally.
Because Keith, when he comes in here, gives her literally 20 to 30 treats over the course of
But
1
I bring
hour.
my own treats.
No, I know, but I would say Uncle Keith spoils
So
her.
to speak. Yeah.
Would
Well,
you say that's fair?
so Yvonne, Luna, which is our dog, was our first grand.
Well, your dog is Force.
I understand that, but Yvonne has a dog named Luna.
Oh, okay.
And that was our first grand dog, our
First grandbaby. we'll call it.
grandbaby
Yeah.
is a good in the family. So I got used to spoiling. I learned from that. But the reason she's super excited, I picked up the one with the bacon bits in it. So I've totally spoiled her today.
I love bacon bits myself.
Well,
Who doesn't love bacon
you're
bits?
welcome to enjoy whatever's in that.
The hard crumble bacon bits, or the ones that are more bacon crumbles, actual bacon crumbles, Keith?
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
There's two very different kinds of bacon bits.
yeah, I do.
And both are good, but I like the genuine bacon that's
do.
crumbled up into
do.
crumbles.
Yeah, but here's the reality of it. At 20-something that you are, you can eat as much bacon as you want. When you're at my age, it's good to look at, but that's about it.
You eat bacon.
I actually very rarely eat bacon. I had an bacon egg cheese Bodo's bagel on Saturday after Yona ran her 10-mile training. She ran 8 miles.
Do you go with the bacon, egg, and cheese?
I go with the bacon, egg, and
Plain
cheese.
bagel? Everything bagel?
No. It's either poppy or sesame.
Poppy or sesame?
Either poppy or sesame.
Those poppy or sesames get in your teeth.
I'm married. I'm good. Who am I impressing? I went for a bike ride. I was all sweaty and scuzzy and all stuff. Yona went for an 8-mile run, and I showed up.
Yona is a saint. Yona is a saint. I love you, Yona Smith.
It's funny. She said the exact same thing.
She is a saint.
What is that emoji when people go like?
Yeah.
That's what she was doing. Yeah. So endemic. Thank you. I've always wanted to know what that actually means, and I haven't had a chance to ask my son-in-law that question. So thank you, Judah, for educating me. The whole noun pronoun thing. Look, I wouldn't know that from a freaking hole in the wall.
Well, why don't we do this? As COVID seems to be in a good place right now, certainly.
No, we have to be somewhat respectful. People are still a little fearful of it. But that being said, and that may be what's going on here. That may be going.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
How is this influencing things here? Because look, I'll put this in perspective. Katie Pearl, we are absolutely going to discuss this.
Hey,
Katie
Katie.
Pearl of Keller Williams. Have you discussed this? The article from UVA Foundation in North Fork.
Yeah.
That's going to be a hot topic throughout the day on all our content. Katie Pearl, all our shows. I'll put this in perspective. My wife, I believe my wife is watching. She is very, very cautious
Okay.
when it comes to COVID. One of the reasons so is because of our son, who's unvaccinated right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday,
And he's 3, right?
almost 4, yeah, 3. Yesterday we were at fabulous Guadalajara. We were eating. She had chimichangas. I had a combo cheese quesadilla, beef burrito, soft taco. My son, for some reason, had the grilled cheese and fries, which Daddy proceeded to eat because he wasn't going to eat. But it was a packed house.
Whoa! Back up for a second
He
there.
wouldn't eat.
But he ordered it.
I mean, we said, what are you going to order? If you don't tell us what you want, we're going to order for you. And remember those days? And it
No.
ended up being grilled cheese and french fries.
Actually, Jonas said that exact same thing to me over the
And
weekend.
he didn't eat it. He didn't eat it. Long story short, it was a packed house.
Yeah, good.
Packed house.
Good.
And long story short, she was comfortable relatively. I know she's watching. Relative is a term of perspective.
But she's a mama bear, so she's always going.
I know. I'm not knocking.
To
I understand.
take care of her little cub there. But yeah, you're 100% right. I just think the vibe is starting to feel that way. So let's back up for a second here. What does it actually look like? So are you suggesting because of England's backing off their total restrictions, we're going to end up seeing that here?
Here's what I'm suggesting, and Judah, we've been on top of this.
I'm just wondering how you unravel that.
Absolutely, we've been on top of this for about a month now, right? Remember when we talked about endemic on the I Love CVille show about a month ago? About a month ago, you had a number of countries in Europe say that they were going to look at COVID as endemic, that they were going to pull mask requirements and adjust quarantine and say, look, it's up to our citizens to decide what they're going to do. This was about a month ago in Europe. And I said, Europe, throughout this pandemic, has been a trendsetter, and we have responded about a month in the rears. About a month in the rears. And you look now, the mask mandates are being lifted. Virginia, March 1 in public schools. You look now, stakeholders nationally, Bill Gates saying COVID is in a manageable state now, and with the health, with the vaccines, and with the fact that many folks have gotten the immunities that have been built, we're in a good place from a COVID standpoint. Exact words from Bill Gates, and he does significant modeling. He's been all over covering this pandemic from the get-go. So what I'm saying is the confidence of Americans, especially as it gets freaking warmer outside,
sure,
especially as we head into spring, sure, and we're going to be outside more.
I mean, look, 3 months ago, the same week, we were at a 6-to-1 ratio. It were 6.
You're talking listings now.
I'm talking listings, right? And I just want to try to tie it a little bit to what you're talking about. So 3 months ago, granted it was Christmas week, right? 3 months ago, this week was Christmas week. There was a 6-to-1 ratio. There was 13 homes that came on the market and 82 went off. Not quite 6-to-1, but I rounded it up a little bit. Now we're down to 1.5-to-1 on that end of it, and we've jumped in the last 30 days, same week, from 34 to 68, if my eyes are working right, on that end of it. So we're, I think you're right. I think we're starting to move it. It's why we're going to bring in Emily again tomorrow, which we haven't done in a long time, to talk about, Katie Pearl has a client that's ready to put a house on the market.
Katie Pearl's A+ people.
And so, what are the things from Emily's staging and interior decorating certificate she has, things that they should be doing, because it does matter, right? It does matter having the house right and having the house priced right. But I think this is the conversation we're having, and I handed you a book about a year ago, right, called Pale Rider, about the 1918 Spanish flu. And the reason I read it is I wanted to know how it ended, how that actually transitioned from where we were or where it was to where hopefully we're going. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation, that is starting to, I think, move along. I'm surely not a doctor. Don't even say that.
But we are well read, and we're common sense people, and we have a good feel for things.
Well, it's more than that. We're good people, right? We study people, and you can just see, just like you outlined, at John at Guadalajara's, there was,
Dude, it was Greenbrier, Guadalajara. It was just after church. I mean, I'm talking like 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't believe they have outside seating at Greenbrier, Guadalajara.
I don't think they do. I'm pretty sure.
Judas giving me the
Judas
nod.
shaking the head.
I do not believe they do.
Yeah, no.
Johnny, I don't believe you guys.
So
Dude,
we know
every table was packed.
We know Fontaine does, and
Fontaine's fantastic.
But outdoor
Downtown's outdoors. Yeah, they're all fantastic. Our mariachi's fantastic.
I think.
But dude, every table was full.
Well, here's an example.
Every table inside was full.
John and I went to the movies last weekend, and
he says no. The county won't let them have outdoor seating at Greenbrier.
Yeah.
Guadalajara, Greenbrier. That's absurd.
Boo.
Yeah, boo.
Boo.
County.
Boo. Hiss.
Yes, Guadalajara. Yes,
Boo.
Guadalajara.
Hiss.
Boo County.
Boo. Hiss.
Yeah.
It was funny. We're going to talk about this this North Fork thing, which we're going to end up tying it into the county's new affordable housing thing. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I was trying to actively pull it up on my phone here so I can quote the numbers right. But I found it, from my perspective, a little interesting that they lowered the sale price from $243,750 down to $205, $208, something like that. And we'll get into that a little bit later once we finish the boo hiss, the boo hiss on that end of it.
I'll take it a step further and then get out of your way. We did some moving and shaking this weekend. Okay, we did some moving and shaking. The family did some moving and shaking on Saturday.
Define moving and shaking.
We just were out and about.
Good. I saw that. You're pretty active.
We were out and about. On Saturday, we had lunch. Wife, son, and I at Three Notched
Uh-huh.
Craft Kitchen, X Park. Love having lunch at Three Notched.
The
Much
beer ain't
like-
so bad either.
The beer's phenomenal. Had 2 Minute Mans. Wife had 2 Ghosts. Son had a tall cup of milk.
He drove.
He had a tall cup of
He was
milk.
driving.
Long story short, Guadalajara, every table was taken.
Yeah.
Every table. Three Notch, that place might be the largest indoor dining in Charlottesville. Maybe, what restaurant in the city of Charlottesville can fit more people than Three Notch? If you can name one, put it in the feed. It used to be Wild Wing Cafe by the train station. Now it's closed. Could fit more people inside. Now,
Johnny would know that for sure.
Johnny, which city of Charlottesville restaurant can sit more people inside city of Charlottesville than Three Notch? I think they're number one. Dude, Three
Because
Notch.
that's beer garden seating.
It's massive.
Yeah,
it's an old
yeah.
airplane hangar.
Yeah, sure.
And then they got that little outside covered patio area on the side. Dude, they were on a wait.
Wow.
They were on a wait.
Was
Every table was taken, and there was 10 or 12
Was that a
people.
game weekend? This wasn't even a game.
There was not even a game.
Yeah, wow.
There was 10 or 12 people waiting in line at the hostess stand. I mean, there had to be 400 people in there.
How did they look? Were they staffed up?
I mean, the folks were working really hard. Let's put it at that.
Yeah.
I think every restaurant has the same situation,
Sure.
labor shortage right now.
Well, it's not just the restaurant industry. There's everything, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I explained to you off air, I won't go into detail, but, you know, I needed to move some furniture this weekend because we couldn't find somebody to help it for a client, so.
My wife says maybe Dairy Market can sit more people inside. She may be right on that. Dairy Market, good call on
Ding,
that.
ding, 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 ding. I
Yeah.
think she-
Now Dairy Market is multiple restaurants, but I think inside from an inside seating, Dairy Market, I'll give her that. I
So
think Dairy
from a
Market more inside people.
single restaurant's perspective, I think I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with
From
Three
a
Notch.
single dining place.
Yeah, Three
Dairy
Notch, I would
Market,
agree
yeah.
with that, but no.
I would not say Cardinal Hall for those who are putting on the feed. Three Notch has more people than Cardinal Hall, but I would say Dairy Market.
I would agree with that. I would think Cardinal Hall has a little bit more seating on the outside. Well, maybe not, no. Yeah, they would have a little bit more seating on the
Well, if you
outside.
combine that outside patio where the bocce courts are
Yeah.
with the inside, maybe they take it.
Yeah, but you said inside.
I said
so-
inside only
yeah,
because it was a COVID-based statement
Yeah.
of having confidence eating inside.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, inventory's picking up a little bit, right? We've got open houses picking up. I mean, now again, it was Christmas week, but 3 months ago for the same week, there were 0 open houses. Then a month later, it was 5. Right now, we're up to 9. Looks like 9 on that end of it. So that is telling us. It's telling me a couple of things. One is people are expecting open houses. They're kind of timing their coming soons, and they're timing their going active so that they can get open houses so people come in. And Yona and I were having this conversation on some listings we have coming up that we're going to kind of time it because the weather is good. People are ready to go back outside as everything we're talking about. So it's endemic.
It's endemic.
Endemic is kind of feeling like that's what's going on.
Endemic is tailwinds for real estate inventory. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, in all fairness, though, in the middle of the pandemic, we were doing pretty good, right? There was homes moving along, but you know, we adapted as an industry pretty rapidly, and we were fortunate enough not to be shut down as an industry. People tend, this has been a while, but people kind of forgot a little bit that, there was whole industries literally shut down. My sister was shut down, couldn't work, from a hairstylist or hair salon.
Hospitality, food and beverage, wedding and events, travel.
Housing was never shut down, which I like to think that there were some folks that realized that, we're number 2 in the state as far as GDP, and shutting us down would have a huge
catastrophic
impact.
So here's the question I ask you. Cheers. It's no secret that, we'll call COVID is 2 years old, 24 months old in March.
Can you believe that?
Bananas, right?
Yeah.
24 months old. Of those 24 months, the real estate industry, I would say 18 or 19 of those 24 months you guys had some of the best numbers in the history of Central Virginia real estate. You give me that?
I would totally give you that because I'm looking at the numbers every day.
So here's the question I have for you. COVID is 24 months in March. 18 or 19 of those 24 months were the best ever in Central Virginia real estate.
I put that at 2 years.
Would you say that those 2 years and the crazy momentum behind it may have cannibalized some of the early inventory we otherwise would have seen in the first quarter of 2022?
Oh, you need to try that a different way.
Did people who otherwise would have put their homes on the market in this January, February, March, April, did they do it because they rushed to get it on there to capitalize on this momentum from the last 18 or 19 months? Is that why we saw some low numbers?
No, maybe I'm hearing this a little bit differently, and I'm going to try it a different way.
Okay.
I think you're seeing the uptick on it. To echo what you're saying I think what you're saying is 2 years ago, people were afraid to put their houses on the market. Is that what we're saying? And then now they're feeling a little bit more confident to put their homes on the market?
I think
or
this is
I
what
got
I'm
it
saying. I'll try it a
backwards.
different way. I think you saw at the end of 2020 and throughout 2021 a huge uptick in homes on the market.
I'm not so sure about that.
You don't think you saw an uptick in homes on the market?
I'd have to start pulling my
Year over year.
That's fine, but I was looking at week over weeks, but year over year, and I don't have the data in front of me. And Katie Pearl, or whoever's in there, can probably pull it up a lot faster than I can remember it. I think what happened was the buyer pool didn't stop, right? The pool kept on raising, and people kept on coming into the buyer's market. I'm not so sure that the inventory market, I mean, it's obvious because we're lopsided, kept up with it. I don't see or remember 2 years ago. Now, Mr. Miller, I have a hard time remembering what I did yesterday.
You're not the only one.
Not unless 2 years ago. But you know what? I just realized as you were going through that example, and maybe it's probably why I didn't grab it. 2/3 of our lifespan on this show, this 3 years, was in the pandemic.
Yeah.
It just literally dawned on me.
I mean,
we only had 1 year before we went into 2 years of doing it.
Take it a step further. Take it a different way. And in some ways,
I didn't even realize that.
Some ways that maybe the pandemic. Look at it this way. My kid is almost 4.
Yeah.
4 in March.
Yeah.
When he turns 4, half his life will be in COVID.
We were having that conversation with our daughter over the weekend. Our grandson was 3. You know, basically 2/3 of his life, it was in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so again, at 3, how much is he? I don't. Do you remember what was going on in your
I
life
don't,
at 3?
But you have. This is a statistic we talked about on Friday, right, Judah?
Yeah, it's
the CDC.
Yeah,
Did you see those?
Yeah.
The CDC before COVID, the CDC, a 24-month-old, was supposed to be able to say 50 words.
Yeah.
Now the CDC, without telling anyone,
Changed it
to 50 words at 2 years and 6 months, at 30 months.
Yeah.
Didn't even broadcast it to anyone. Changed the stat.
Did they have the 60-year-old one?
Well, I mean, I think you're around 65, 70 words, 80 words for Keysmith. That's bogus. That's Bush League.
Yeah. All look.
We got some comments from viewers. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
You know, I poked my head in between working a little bit on the show, which was.
But you know that's bogus.
You know, it sure seems like I changed the rules.
They changed the rules.
Yeah, it just seems that way. It seems like the rules weren't working, and let's change the rules.
Yeah.
And
instead of acknowledging why the rules were changed, they just changed the rules.
Yeah. And it's just, you know.
That would irk you if you were a parent.
Yeah. So to continue our British friends, you know, they would say this doesn't quite cricket, right? You ever heard that before?
I have not heard that.
You've heard that before.
Have you heard that, Judah?
Cricket, yeah. So that, anyway. You know,
Dan Pettit watching the program. Mustache Dan Pettit. Good morning, Jerry. Getting ready to go shelling. 73 degrees. Tennis around 4 with the guys who play sometimes twice a day. You are making me hungry with all this food talk. I gave him some props about a photo he posted over the weekend of Dan and his beautiful wife playing tennis. And he said this. Here's a trivia question about Mustache Dan Pettit. My wife is still very gorgeous. Back in the day, she was Miss Miami Beach came in second place.
I can believe that.
This is Miami Beach. Mustache Dan Pettit.
Dan, you did well.
Dan Pettit outkicked his coverage. You did very well, Dan Pettit. And the fundamentals with that forehand, good night. That guy's a tennis player. Katie Pearl has this.
Oh, thank you, Katie.
This is about endemic in England. Remember, if you're just tuning in, we started the program by saying UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is lifting all remaining COVID restrictions in England. He made that announcement today. England lifting all remaining COVID restrictions. Katie Pearl responds, if the Queen of England
Has COVID.
That's what her comment is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If the Queen of England, who is 95, can still work her duties while experiencing mild cold-like COVID symptoms, the argument to mask a healthy 5-year-old at school is out the window. I think the writing is on the wall and people will continue to feel more and more comfortable at school, restaurants, and reestablish our societal norms. I give her props on that.
So I'll
I 1,000% agree with that.
So
Props for Katie.
and if Mrs. Smith is watching, I'm probably going to get myself into a little bit of trouble here.
You do that often.
I do that often. I'm darn proud of it.
I like that about you. We both have mischievous streaks.
Well, you know, it's a talk show.
It's a talk show. Supposed to talk.
Supposed to talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
Right. That was the comment about Mrs.
That's why our chemistry is so good. He understands the premise of the talk show.
Yeah.
Judah, you hear what? You're supposed to talk.
Judah, don't let him do that.
Don't let him do that.
Judah, I got your back, brother.
He'll give you some bacon bite treats.
You know what? We had this conversation. I can't remember last week. It's when you go to the nurse who's giving you blood, you want to be nice to them because that person is sticking to you. So he's the guy that makes us look good.
Nice
so I want to be nice to him.
10 years of working together.
Yeah. You're like family, and it was funny. I was watching on Friday. You could say like you were like two brothers,
Yeah,
right?
we're polar opposites in so many regards, and that's why the team works.
There you go.
But finish your thought.
Yeah, I lost it.
No. You said you're probably getting in trouble with the owner about this.
Yeah. So to talk about this masking thing and how personal it is to us, our grandchildren and our children are coming to spend time with the owner and I for his 60th birthday. We've arranged this for a few years, and we're going to do this. And our 3-year-old grandson won't put a mask on. So now, this is 2 weeks away or whatever it is, if they can't figure that out, they're not going to let him on the plane. So what do we do, Coach?
You're going to go pick them up and drive them. They're going to drive down. Okay, he's not going to.
You realize what you just said?
Okay. They can drive down. You're not
So
going to.
what we're going to do, we're going to drive to Miami, then I'm going to get a boat, and we're going to take them.
Oh,
Right?
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're on I understand. Okay. So we should.
We're going out of the
respect.
country.
You're going out of the country.
We're going
now.
out of the,
Okay.
We're going out of the country.
The way you presented it was they were coming to your home in Flubana.
No. Well, I was trying not to tell everybody where we were going.
Okay.
But we're going out of the country.
Yeah.
And
so that's what was going to get you in trouble with the owner. That part.
That part.
Okay. Sugar. All right. Sorry.
Nice job, Jerry.
Okay. I'm sorry. You confused me.
Look at this. I just got. Well, it's you confused me before it's a payback.
That one would confuse me there.
Mrs. Smith just fired me, by the way.
Jesse Rutherford, we'll get to your comment in a matter of moments, but finish your thought.
I was thinking of Jesse this weekend.
Your 3-year-old son.
Yeah, my grandson.
Grandson.
Yeah, so the reality of it is we are, I don't want to use the word panicking because we're not, but we're like, okay, how are we going to make this work, right? How do you put, right, you have a 3-year-old, right?
Yeah.
If your 3-year-old doesn't want to do something, how do you do that? How do you put a mask on him? Now he has some speech delay.
Your grandson.
My grandson, yeah, and so it's really hard to go ahead and get that mask on. So how am I going to get this? How are they going to get this mask on to fly down to where Yona and I are going to be? It may, to be honest with you, literally we were having this conversation. Yona and I.
Does the kid does your grandson have to wear the mask on the plane?
They do.
At 3?
At 3 years old, according to JetBlue, you do. According to the FAA, you do. They have to wear a mask. I thought that was strange. I thought you could get a doctor's note or something to do it. Apparently,
Are you sure on that?
I know Yasmina and Harry well enough to know that they are researching the heck out of this to go ahead and do it. So there's a potential that they won't be able to get on the plane.
Well, I hope, especially for Yona's sake. It's
Oh, it would break her
60th
heart.
birthday, right?
It would break
It'd break her heart.
It'd break her heart not to have her grandchild with the
Yeah.
60th birthday.
Well,
Totally
and,
break her.
and Harry and your
Yeah.
daughter.
It's amazing when we FaceTime every breakfast, and it must be, when they look at me, he goes, "Hi, Pop." When her name is Gigi,
Yeah.
when he sees Gigi, it's just like, "Hi, Gigi." He's all excited and all this stuff.
It's the same with our son,
Hi,
with
Pop.
Mimi and Pee-Pee.
Really?
Mimi is all the rage.
Yeah.
He loves Pee-Pee, but Mimi's all
It's
the
like,
rage.
"Hey, how you doing, Pop?"
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Mimi is all the rage. It's the same thing with us. So multiple comments coming in. Wow. Sharon, I'll get to that comment for you. Joanne Mackey, Queen of Keswick, I'll get to your comment here. Let me get to Board of Supervisors, Jesse Rutherford. Jesse Rutherford contributes to the show. So Jesse, we have monikers, nicknames for people that contribute often to the program. Vanessa Parkhill's the Queen of Earlysville. Joanne Mackey's the Queen of Keswick. Carol Thorpe is the Queen of Jack Jewett. Neil Williamson is the King of Content. Jesse Rutherford needs a moniker. I think we'll dub Jesse moniker the, should we call him the King of Nelson County? Or the Prince of Nelson County?
Yeah, I have a couple of them, but this is a family show, so I will not say what I'm really thinking.
Jesse Rutherford, we're going to dub you the King of Nelson County. Anytime you participate with comments in the program on any of our shows, you will get the King of Nelson County moniker set on.
He makes us bow to him anyway at these board meetings.
Jesse Rutherford's A+ people.
He is very much.
I'm a big fan of Jay Ruff.
Well, and let's face it, Nelson County's kind of doing everything right.
They are doing everything right.
They're doing everything right.
Yeah. He says this, Board of Supervisors. Another note, plenty of people sold their home during the pandemic, and after the sale, they could not find a home in their price range.
Sure.
I encourage folks to not sell unless they A, have to, or B, already have living situation planned soon after their sale.
So we were actually helping several clients this weekend, and
Jesse, you do know that Keith likes selling homes over here. You do know.
So
that.
does he. He's a real estate agent.
I know this.
He's in that space
It's a
too.
portfolio of rental properties.
He's also a licensed real estate agent. No, he kind of gets that. I think it was interesting. We have a couple of clients that we're working with this weekend for the listing side and the buying side, and there's tools to go on and we were on a listing interview on Saturday, and we talked about the leaseback option. That's still available. I will tell you, as inventory starts increasing a little bit, that as a tool will probably decrease a little bit at this particular point in time. So as we start getting closer to the balanced market, but at the moment, that's what it. And actually, we're going to work on something. We're going to put it in there. They want like a 6-month lease back. It's
6-month lease back?
It's in a location that'll easily be done. More than likely, it'll be a second. I won't give location away at this stuff, but it's a second home.
That's the longest lease back I've ever heard of.
Oh, I've got one that's a year.
A year lease back.
Oh yeah.
So they close and buy a home, and they don't get to move it to the home that they buy for 365 days.
They're building new construction. It actually worked out really great. It works out great all the way across the board. They cashed out. Again, it's in an area that it works. The buyer is coming. So the way that one was structured, the buyer is coming from Northern Virginia, isn't ready to retire yet. He's got another year to retire. So was fortunate enough to have enough cash to buy, so he bought in cash, and they're leasing back for a year. It's not an uncommon thing. I think as we get back to this balance here, which again, the ratio, we're having more units come on the market in the last 60 days, but the ratio hasn't changed, right? 30 days ago it was a 1.5, I'm rounding numbers up to 1. In other words, 1.5 went off versus 1 that came on. This month we have the same thing, 1.5. So we're not back to par, right? We're not back to a balance. As one comes on, one goes off. As one comes on, one goes off. So at the moment there's still more going off the market, more being sold, more being put on the pending, as there is coming onto the active. But that's a great tool. Thanks, Jesse. But what I'm supposed to, the King? Was that the King?
King of Nelson County.
King of Nelson County. God.
You're going to say Jesse Rutherford, King of Nelson County, you're going to say it?
No.
He's not going to say it. I said it for him. So
He's going to make me say it at the next commission meeting, that's why.
This is a interesting comment. This is from Sharon Cavender. Cavender, am I saying your last name right, Sharon? Sharon Cavender. She says, Keith, I am looking for 10 to 11 acres around Batesville with no HOA fees. Can you assist?
I can surely assist, without a doubt.
So it's on the comments, yeah.
Just DM me and we'll take a look at it. You know, it's a Batesville is a pretty neat neighborhood. If
Very charming.
if Justine Montgomery is watching, or you can tag her, she moved from Batesville to Vermont. So we kind of know, we helped her sell her house. We kind of know that market well. We can reach out. The HOA thing's going to be a bit of a challenge.
There's not a ton of HOAs in Batesville.
No, but you have some of these smaller subdivisions with these large lots that may have like a private road. So the HOA is just designed to take care of the road. So you're really going to have to take a look at, you know, what exactly the buyer wants to do with the land versus that. This also covers some restrictions too, with some of the larger lots may or may not come into play. So we'll just have to get together and see what we can do to help.
So Sharon, it's in the comment section of my Facebook page for you to follow up. I've tagged Keith Smith on there. If you guys could connect via direct message Sharon with Keith, that would be great.
Or just type in my cell number.
Yeah, I tagged you guys.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So this one
Thank
is
you.
Queen of Keswick, Joy and Mackie is a message for your daughter and son-in-law about your grandson. Tell him this. I have a 3-year-old grandson, and those big events, you know, he's looking at planes, maybe the reward for him to wear the mask. Look for kid-themed N95 mask. If it's required, it'll work for us.
Yeah, we've been doing that. We've been doing the clear face mask. You know, there's just some challenges there with our grandson that makes it extremely difficult to do that. But we're working on it. They're literally, every time we FaceTime with little Harry, Yona and I have a mask on, so he's seeing us with a mask on, and we're trying. We're all, as a family, trying to do it. This interesting thing, I don't think there's enough runway in it, but, you know, maybe they'll change the rules in the next couple of weeks. Who knows?
Well,
Make it 5 years old. I don't understand why a 3-year-old, and maybe I'm just being a grandpa, I don't understand why a 3-year-old kid needs a mask on.
yeah, it's surprising. I wonder if is that unique airline?
No, it's an FAA, it's a CDC and an FHA. No, that's FAA thing.
Okay.
But again, I'm relying on my daughter to provide information on
Totally
it.
get it. So we'll get to some news here.
I've got it in front of me.
But if no mask, no plane ride, he is not vaccinated. Joanne Mackey's right. Joanne Mackey says you are right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm
she
pretty
says
sure.
you're right. No mask, no plane ride because he's not vaccinated.
Yeah, pretty sure.
And under 5 is not vaccinated. Thank you, Queen of Keswick, Joanne
that's
Mackey.
exactly right.
Tell Tiffany I said hello as well, Sharon. Tiffany Smith is in New York, Nueva York, the Big Apple. All right, so we have to get to some news.
I love
She
Tiffany.
owns a Virginia shop, as
I
you know.
know. I love Tiffany.
So multiple people wanted to talk about that North Fork project.
Sure. Got the
That
article in
North
front of
Fork
me.
project is a big story in the Daily Progress. Bill McChesney has this comment. Question for Keith. Have you heard about 200 acres near Buck Island that have been sold and logged recently?
So that has been, if it's the one I'm thinking of, as you come either if you're coming from Charlottesville to Lake Monticello through Buck Island on the right-hand side, that was timbered probably 12 months or so ago. It was on the market for a while. I know a little bit about it. It's the topographical layout is really goofy, and the geometric shape of the parcels are kind of weird, and half of the property, believe it or not, is on one side of the road, and the other side of the road, when that all happened, people were thinking a development was going in there, but there isn't. There isn't one. It's still maybe on the market. I haven't looked at it in 8 or 9 months. Hope that helped.
Okay, maybe that's something you mark for tomorrow.
I wrote it down already.
So, how about the UVA Foundation project?
Yeah, so,
And I have the article up. You have the article as well.
I do.
This is in the Daily Progress today.
I do. It seems, and I read it very quickly this morning, it seems a lot of the conversation of the article was around the water and sewer capabilities of it. If the RWSA had the capacity to serve that many units, so that was a very quick read that I had on it, but it's they're looking to rezone 172 of the 540 acres from planned development industrial park to neighborhood model development. And this is part of where UVA is looking to put some of its affordable housing units in it. It's noted that. That project is, frankly, a substantially long time through a rezoning perspective, and even if assume it gets through rezoning, then it has to go through site plan process and then get built. This is years down the road.
Yeah.
Before something.
We've tried to set the stage as well as we can on the UVA Foundation leveraging its land bank for housing, added rooftops, and we've kind of set the stage of about a decade before we will see actual rooftops.
Yeah, so I mean UVA's incentive is
that's when Keith is going to turn, maybe when he's 44, 45, the houses will be on market.
I love you, you know that, right? No, it won't be that. Maybe not quite double, but we'll be awfully close. Yeah, so that is one of the sites that UVA has chosen to help with this 1,000 to 1,500 unit affordable housing. As we said on the show numerous times, this is a long runway, long window, and so an interesting fact, since it's the foundation that's doing this, right? It has to go through the process like any other developer.
Right, it's not UVA itself, a nonprofit. This is actually the foundation doing it.
Well, if it was UVA, it would be a state agency, and the state agency kind of absolves itself of having to go through this process, which is a whole issue unto itself in my mind. But so it's Allison wrote a great article. I perused it very quickly this morning on that end of it, but so that article seemed to focus around, does it have the capacity to serve, right? That's a huge question, right? If you don't have the water, you don't have the sewer, then you're never going to get the density or the rooftop. So that's usually developer 101 box that you start checking, right? So if I'm going to do a project somewhere, I need to find out, does the Service Authority or Aqua Virginia or whatever has the capacity to serve? And I read somewhere in here they're looking around 500,000 gallons of water a day is what's going to be needed for the whole project. To put that in perspective,
You're going to compare it to Lake Monticello?
that's exactly right.
We've been hosting this show for a while together.
We've been hosting this. Yeah. I'm becoming predictable.
No, you're intelligent.
So just to put it in perspective, as far as volume of commercial, volume of residential, that's about, just think of it of that scope and size, is what 500,000 gallons of water.
How much is Lake Monticello doing gallons of water per day? 500,000?
It's a tad over, like 525, something like that, plus or minus. But I usually round it down to $500,000 because 500,000 gallons, because it's an easy number for Smith to remember. So, but the reality of it, so if you drive around Lake Monticello, all the commercial that's going around it, all the 4,300 homes, all that kind of great stuff, that's what 500,000 gallons of water gets you. Now, they're talking about some commercial in there,
Yeah.
and so forth and so on.
And potential school.
School.
Yeah.
So this is years. So
Can you imagine? I just want to throw this out there. I'm sure Joanne Mackey will get to these comments here comparing CVille and Spokane and the article that was in the New York Times today. If you put a Lake Monticello at North Fork in northern Albemarle County, pretty darn close to that Greene County line, dude.
So what you're not calculating in is time. So that So let me try to see if I can map this out a little bit. So from this conversation we're having today, so your conversation of me not being around anymore when this project is finished is more of a reality. It's going to take probably somewhere between 3 to 6 years. So I'm trying to remember, if somebody can remember on the chain, how many years did the rezoning take for, okay, Smith, it's on 29, I forgot the name of the subdivision, right across from, on Polo Grounds Road, North Point, right? That took years and years and years. I can't remember the exact number of years, but a substantial number of years to go through the rezoning process. And who knows, the market might take a correction on here. It goes, but you're looking somewhere between 3 to 6 years just to get through the rezoning and the site plan process before you even put a shovel in the ground.
Well, look, I'll take it.
Let me get this out.
Sure.
But just so that you know, a build out on that project is a generation. It's a 25-year plus build out. Keep in mind, we Lake Monticello, when I moved there in '87, was only 600 houses. Now it's 43, and that's 35 years. So it's taken that long for a project to get built out. So if you think it gets approved, it gets done, and bulldozers get pushed, and bingo, we're going to have whatever, thousands of homes, that doesn't happen. It happens over a course of time. I don't know if that's helpful in the conversation or not, but I just wanted to put a little kind of parentheses around the side of it.
Okay, so let me take a different approach here, and your approach is 100% on point. Here's a different approach. Forest Lakes, Hollymead, they vehemently proposed the RST apartment development,
Sure.
and they based that opposition on infrastructure concerns.
Sure.
When you add that much density, how can the infrastructure handle
Sure.
those extra people and cars?
Got it.
This is considerably larger.
But Jerry, that's always the concern. Infrastructure, and I'm not saying, to quote Neil Williams, I'm not taking a position one way or the other.
Neither am I.
It's
Sake of a talk show.
Infrastructure is always a concern, and how do you time that infrastructure? How do you fund that infrastructure? When does it happen? When does it don't happen?
What is it going to do for the existing values of real estate in that area?
Oh, I don't think it's going to impact them at all.
You put a Lake Monticello next to Hollymead and Forest Lakes, and you don't think it's going to have an impact on real estate?
So I will take a note for tomorrow's show and take a look at the values of some of the property that's sold before Hollymead, before Forest Lakes, and now. Do you think?
Well, I mean, no, I doubt they didn't go down. They didn't go down.
So
they went up.
Yeah. So it's not going to go. It's not going to go down. It's only going to go up. It always just only goes up. It's like the stock market, right? Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it goes down. No, really. But it always goes up. It has always gone up. There's valleys and peaks and all that fun stuff. But eventually, if you put your money in, if you call the Erpies, I like that, huh? Yeah. You call the Erpies.
Merchant Financial Services.
And you put some money in now and you hold on to it for 20 years, more than it's going to go, historically, it's going to go up. So values are going to go up. Now, quality of life, different things, that's all.
Lake Monticello on 29 North around the Albemarle Greene County line.
What do you think they're proposing? I haven't had a chance to take a look at the density.
I mean, is anybody else thinking about that?
Well, I'm sure everybody's thinking about it. We're thinking about it, right? But to make a blanketed statement that a development over there is going to decrease people's property value is factually incorrect.
Okay, I said, how's it going to? Okay, you're right. I'll rephrase. Maybe I should have said this instead of impacting.
No, let me rephrase that. Statistically is incorrect.
Okay, how about I say instead of impacting property values, impacting quality of life?
Well, that's what I said. Quality of life is a very different story.
Quality of life.
Quality of life is a very different story.
Now, to the credit of the stakeholders in this project, that is part of the. That is where development should happen.
Well, the North, the 29 corridor study, all these different studies and all that kind of great
That's
stuff.
where they're trying to get development to happen. So people who bought there, this is where development was going to happen all along.
Yeah, the only thing that I've learned.
It was Kessler who developed Forest Lakes, right?
Yeah, I think so. You're stretching some memories.
Pretty sure Kessler, Frank Kessler.
I think Frank did that.
Yeah.
I think he did that right after Glenmore.
Yeah.
Then went over that way. But
he did Forest Lakes.
you're testing some memory cells that probably ain't gonna go that far back. Look, so what's the option?
Well, I mean, this is what Joey Mackey says, and she's 100% right. Queen of Keswick, I'll read the comment, and she's going to give you ammunition for the argument you're about to make. You're saying, what's the option? We're in desperate need of housing. We need this. She says this, there's an article in the New York Times today about real estate in Spokane, Washington.
I read it.
You read it?
I did.
This proposal is the UVA proposal, foundation proposal is very similar in light of rising cost of housing, utilities, and affordable housing. Keith is right, water is the concern. Also educational space. But like Spokane's, the more time passes, the higher costs go up.
Sure.
I felt while reading the New York Times story, you could substitute Charlottesville for Spokane in that article and everything would be the same. Spokane housing prices increased 60% in 1 year. And then she says the Lake Monticello community is very nice, but this is needed for different reasons. UVA student housing with the needs of UVA workforce housing, they cannot afford current rents in the market, or they're pushed out to the outer counties. So you're right, we need it.
Well, so part of, and I'm really not trying to pat myself on the back, but part of the reason why I was picked as one of the top 30 trendsetters is some of the work I've been doing in this space. So I'm actually part of a national cohort that's out of Portland and out of Seattle, looking at different ways and different scenarios for affordable housing or housing affordability, because I really don't like the word affordable housing affordability. But this struggle, this conversation we're having about 29 North and Charlottesville is in Spokane, it's in Portland, it's in every pretty much medium to small size city or area in this country. It's not exclusive to us. You know, it's kind of like when you go to therapy, not that you've ever been, but I have, on a regular basis, by the way, so people who watch know now. But
You've said it before.
I'm not shy to say that I do this. Yona and I do husband and wife therapy on a regular basis, because sometimes we work together so long we forget how to talk to one another, and it's part of the reason why we travel so much together, to get us to reconnect. But you know, one of the things I realized when my first time I went to therapy, I realized I wasn't the only one, and it made things feel better that there was other people that were struggling with whatever I was struggling with at the time. So on a bigger picture, there is some comfort to know that this is not exclusively these challenges to us. It's personal because it is us, right? But there are other places that are having the same struggle. My question is to everybody who doesn't want to have this, great. What's going to happen, Coach? What's the alternative? What's the solution, right? If the solution is doing nothing, okay, great. So what are those circumstances? What are those, come on, help me out, Judah. What are those?
Cause and effects?
Cause and effects, thank you, Judah, on that end of it. He was thinking it. I read his mind. You know, what is those, you know, what's the results of that, right? You know, on that end of it. I just threw it out there. I don't know.
Well, we know what the cause and effects of not building more housing are.
Do we really know that, though?
We do.
Yeah.
Wealthy, homogenous community.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, wouldn't you say that's the cause and effect?
you know, look, UVA's.
I mean, Charlottesville's not getting more diverse. It's getting less diverse.
Oh,
that's statistically proven by census data.
Yep.
Less diverse.
Yep. So people ever notice, if they ever look and see what this pin is I have on it, is a diversity pin that I received from NAR. I had to take a bunch of courses and all that kind of great stuff on it, and we are getting less, not more diverse without a doubt. But you know, we also have to be thoughtful of people's concerns, right? The people they have legitimate concerns on that, and your statement of you know, if this was the growth area, and you know, did the buyer know that it was or didn't know what it was? You know, that's a whole different conversation unto itself. But you know, there are these growth areas, and we're pretty clear.
That's a massive growth area. That's a focus growth area.
Well, we're pretty sure, I'm a betting man, I tend to lose a lot, but I'm a betting man. I'll bet you, and I think I'll win this one, Albemarle County Board of Supervisors is not going to increase the growth area anytime soon.
No, Diantha McKeel said on this very show, we have shopping centers that are ghost towns. Why do we need to increase the growth area?
So what you
Donna Price has said similar stuff.
That's exactly right. So what you're going to see in Albemarle County is the growth areas are going to grow. Whatever these growth areas are eventually are going to have
More density
in it. And
Yeah.
that's just a fact of life on that end of it. But anyway, I would love to have a debate with somebody about, so what is the result if that doesn't happen?
Christopher Eagle confirmed Frank Kessler did Forest Lakes. Hello.
Thank you, Christopher.
Christopher Eagle, we love you, homie. Katie says, I live right around there, and the housing is 100% needed. NGIC, NGIC would scoop it up in a heartbeat.
So Katie, so how do you feel about this? So if that happens in there, you're in the business, you live there.
Well, let's also ask the Queen of Earlysville, Vanessa Parkhill. How
There
do
you
you
go.
feel about this?
That's right in her backyard.
Or this is right in your backyard.
Right.
Vanessa Parkhill, Queen of Earlysville. Read the article in the Daily Progress today. It's titled UVA Foundation wants to add up to 1,400 homes at North Fork.
So now keep in mind, we've been talking about putting a Lake Monticello in there, right? Lake Monticello is 4,300, so there's a substantial math difference between that, right? That's about a third. If I did my math right in my head, there's about a third, plus or minus. Was that close? For a talk show, it was close.
Yeah, close enough for a talk show.
But as long as you don't get into this whole noun thing, whatever this pronoun thing. But the reality of it is, so it's not going to be 4,000. It's going to be.
That's very close.
You did the math? Was that close?
Very close for a talk show.
So in any event, I mean, how would they feel about that? You know, is the work, live, play thing, right? Is that gonna?
She says, bring it on, but I'm a real estate agent, so I'm biased.
Yeah, but
Katie Pearl said that.
But Katie, I know Katie well enough to know that she can put her bias aside and say, okay, you know, is this good for the community, right? Is this good for everybody? I don't know the answer to that.
All I'm saying, and I'm not taking a stance, I'm a man with a microphone hosting a talk show. All I'm saying is this: you will have, if you had the level of NIMBYism, maybe NIMBYism, yeah, I'd say, if you had the level of opposition for the RST project,
No, that was straight up NIMBYism.
this project is going to be exponentially much more opposition.
Yeah, so I think the Polo Grounds project, if I'm not mistaken, has the same number. I believe it's around 1,400 plus or minus, if I remember correctly, which included, if I remember it correctly, so that's North Point, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I believe some of it is apartments, some of it is SFD, single family detached, single family attached, but I believe, and somebody can Google it pretty quickly, I believe it's the same amount. So you're going to have approximately the same size project there. The real difference in this project, in reading through the article as you were typing here a few minutes ago and knowing a little bit about it on the periphery, it's going to have way more educational, way more commercial. So it's only developing a portion of the land, a small portion of the land for residential. The rest of it is going to be commercial, for lack of a better term. It's going to be universities, so forth and so on. So North Point doesn't have that, right? North Point has a majority of the land is residential. There's some commercial connected to it. So if you take a look at that article at Alice, you'll see the math difference on it. Again, I don't have it in front of me, but you'll see that. So there's a different thing. So this is like a live, work, play thing, right? We've got, you know, where Target is, right? What is the name of that?
Hollymead Town Center.
Hollymead Town Center, thank you. So, and the airport's there, and, you know, that may end up becoming a little micro city, for lack of a better term, out that way. Maybe.
Oh, I think it's going to be a micro city. I mean, I think you may even be figuring out a different term for that. I mean, almost synonymous with short pump in Richmond. I mean, that Hollymead Forest Lakes area, do we dub it Hollymead? I mean, is that new brand Hollymead? I mean, it's going to be its own brand.
Yeah, you're a branding guy, so you're.
I mean, Earlysville's in Albemarle County. Keswick is in Albemarle County, right?
Keswick.
North Garden.
Yeah.
I mean, the brand, what's the new brand of that? Especially if you had that kind of rooftops? What's the number, 1,700, 1,400?
According to the article I just perused,
1,400.
around 1,400.
Yeah, you had that many rooftops plus North Point? That's a new city.
Correct. So and they'll have the hospital things to it, right? They'll have medical to it. A lot of folks, there's subcontractors working for the government, for DOD, that's set up in that way. There's health insurance folks out in that. So it may end up being this little live, work, play thing, but...
Like Short Pond.
Like Short Pond, that's exactly.
Vanessa Parco, Queen of Earlysville, I will relay this live on air now. When I moved here in 1990, so you moved here in 87.
Mm-hmm.
She moved here in 1990 with her man Gary Parco. When I moved here in 1990, I believe 29 North was designated growth area. I'm only 5 minutes from Target now and perfectly happy with it. I welcome the project at North Fork and encourage UVA to focus on multifamily workforce housing.
Yeah.
And she specified nurses.
Yep.
Queen of Earlysville, Vanessa Parco.
So I can tell you that's the discussion, at least in the community engagement side at UVA. I'm not involved in the actual project portion of it, but just the community engagement side of it. And that term, workforce housing, has been thrown around quite a bit to go ahead and use this. This is the reason why I prefer housing affordability than affordable housing on that end of it, because what's affordable, there's different levels of affordable. It means different things to different folks, and so that's the reason I use the term housing affordability instead of affordable.
What percentage of the density, people are asking, do you know, are townhomes?
So I don't think it's gotten that far at all, right? So this is if you read the rest of the article, they don't even know when it's going to get submitted to the county yet. So they're in a pre couple more submittal stages here. They're trying to figure this all out themselves. But if they can't get the water, right, because that's going to be one of the criteria straight out of the box. If they can't get the water for the whole project, it may be on hold for a period of time. Or they might say, okay, we only have enough water for X amount of square foot for the commercial, X amount of units on that end of it. To answer the question in a roundabout way, in today's development world, because remember, 25% of new construction is regulatory expenses, you're going to probably see more townhomes than single-family detached. It's just the way the trend is going, because to build 100 feet of road and 100 feet of water and sewer and 100 feet of infrastructure is the same cost as from one house or 5 duplexes or 5 townhomes or 4 townhomes, whatever you can fit on that same 100 feet. It would be 20 foot, it'd be 4 of them that you can fit on that same 100 feet. So obviously, townhomes are going to be more cost effective to build because you can increase more units per linear feet of infrastructure, if that makes sense.
Question for you. You ready for this one? This is a good question. You build and sell affordable housing under the financial parameters set by government housing. If the buyer wants to move in 5 years, must they sell to another purchaser who qualifies as an affordable housing purchaser and at a set price and not true market value? If so, how is it monitored? If not affordable, does the housing disappear? Then what?
Who's that asking?
Joanne Mackey.
Yeah.
Who's an economist.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Joanne, great question. That is...
Queen of Casper.
That depends on how it's structured.
Well, this is where you reference the land trust.
Yeah. So the land trust model, and that may happen this way. Here's an interesting thing about this, because I've asked this question, I never got an answer to it. They're actually, as it stands right now, they're not giving the land to somebody. They're not selling the land. This is UVA. They're leasing it.
Yeah.
And I've asked that specific question. So how are you doing this? I know how to do it because we do this under the land trust, and it works, right?
So it's important to emphasize what he just said. Say it again. UVA is keeping ownership of the land.
Ownership is maybe not the right word, right?
What's the right word?
So they're going to retain the land. So you can.
So they're.
That's not necessarily true. So you can do a 90-year lease,
Okay.
and that is a mechanism for sale.
Okay.
right? You can
That's
actually.
what the land trust does.
That's what the land trust. That's what you can do, but they're not going to sign over the land to somebody.
So they retain ownership of the land.
Yeah, okay, for the sake of a talk show, I say that, but ownership is not they retain ownership of the land based upon some sort of lease structure that gives somebody else the same rights as purchase. Does that make sense? So let's talk about the land trust, right?
Okay.
Right. So it works, and the reason I know it works is we're selling our first 2 resales on Nassau Street. So 2 years ago, that maybe answer the math question here. 2 years ago, those units, by the way, they were true net zeros. Meaning that the people that own them do not pay any electric bill because of the way we built them. 2 years ago, they were bought for $215. In the same 2 years, they increased $100,000, actually 105, but let's make it $100,000 in market value. So when we sit with the way the math, and it's complicated, and I'll probably screw this up. So when we go ahead and sell the unit, we retain the land. It's under a 90-year land lease, and we get a market rate appraisal. So 2 years ago, they were $300,000. Today, they're $400,000. The way that we set the price is they get to keep $25,000 of that $100,000 and add it to the $215. So the price is $240 to sell it. But the key to the land trust is the effect of forever affordability. So that for $60,000, we bought a land, we developed it, we built a house on it, we sold it for $215. 2 years later, we're selling it for $240. We saved $60,000, so we're not putting any more money into this. And that person will be able to stay in that home for however long, add the equity to it as the formula is set up, and sell it. So these 2 houses, by the way, that we sold this recently, they received enough cash out of the sale to buy market rate. They're bringing 20% down payment to buy market rate homes. So what has happened is the affordable housing buyer came in, bought that, they'll build some equity, they'll move up what I call actually Dan Rosenzweig of Habitat's Humanity. I stole this from him. It's what they call the ladder of the housing ladder. So they started at rental, they went to the first rung, they've received enough capital to go into the second rung, which is ownership, and we move on. I don't really know how UVA is going to do it. I've not been asked about this model from UVA. I don't think they've figured that out yet.
She says it's like Hawaii, but you could have your house you built taken off the land by the owner. If so, how do you protect yourself from this?
So it's 100-year, so that's the 90-year lease that goes, it's a recorded document. So most people don't know, all post offices, the government doesn't own the land. They do 90-year leases with the land. These post offices, and they just automatically roll over every 90 years. The key to this, and I think the question was, how does this stay forever affordable? And they have to structure something similar to what the land trust has, or X Land Trust, or X Piedmont Housing Alliance, which we're merging to do it. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I know this much: they're literally not signing over the deed, which is, in your vernacular, ownership to somebody else. They're going to retain the deed. They're going to retain it. The best way to look at it, think about it as a condominium, right? We're sitting in one right now. It's really complicated stuff to explain. I hope I did a decent job.
Sarah Hill Buczynski has got something. These are listings. December. So I got to read this graph here. This is tough to do on the fly.
You're doing live on the fly.
This one's tough to read. This is from Carr. This is the year. This is the question we had. You guys are so great. So she's got December 19, December 20, and December 2021.
So
you
is
got
that
your phone on you?
I do, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to do this.
Is this the quarterly report that came out?
This is the year over year. Remember we were asking if the listings got... I'm texting this to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is from Sarah Hill Buczynski. We love you, Sarah Hill Buczynski. So remember we were asking if the listings got cannibalized? That so much momentum with COVID that the listings went on the market during COVID, and maybe one of the reasons why it's slower now.
She's got the data to prove it?
Yeah.
Cool.
I just texted it to you.
Cool.
Let me know when that comes into you. And we can talk about this on air because this is good. Judah Wickower, more comments coming in here. Good night. North Fork is obviously the topic of conversation right now, Keith Smith.
Got it, yeah. It hasn't come in yet, but I'll wait for it to come in. The yeah, so Norfolk. Here's the positive thing about Norfolk. There's going to be.
Do you have your phone on airplane mode, or is data turned off? I also Facebook messaged you the graph as well, the artwork. So maybe check Facebook Messenger for it.
Okay. There you go. I shut off my phone, sir, so I can pay attention to you.
Yeah, that's why it's not going through.
Got it. I'm looking at it.
Okay. So that way we can reference the question about inventory. So we'll both look at this. This one right here is a little more difficult to look at in real time compared to responding to comments here. It's year over year data on new listings.
I'm looking at it.
December 19, December 20, December 2021.
Yeah. So this is from CAR's, I think, year-end quarterly report, fourth quarter report. So the question is, sir?
Are we slow on listings now? Because the people that otherwise would have listed their home now, Q1 2022, rush to get it listed in 2021 to capitalize on the massive momentum of real estate in our market.
So if you look at this, that would would support what you're saying, if I'm reading this correctly.
Because it's just common sense.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just, maybe it's not common sense, but this is just how a business, just the businessman in me is looking at it.
Yeah.
The businessman
So
is like,
we're looking. So January 2021, single family detached, there was 397 on the market, and December was 247. So that was off a little bit. There was a spike, according to this, in March of 600, April 500, May 500. I'm just rounding numbers here. June 500, start dropping in July of 400, again in August 400, and in December 200.
so put it for the viewers and listeners, especially the ones that are just listening to us, in a nutshell.
Yeah, so I mean the argument can be made that there was more listings on the market during the height of COVID than there is now. I'm looking at week over week on this end of it. That's the numbers I'm looking at. This stuff is going back a little bit historically, but it would appear that these numbers would echo what you were saying, is that there was a little...
People rushed to get them on the market during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And because they rushed to get them on the market during COVID, last year in particular, we're suffering a little bit from inventory now. Your daughter in Seattle is giving you props.
Oh, thank you.
That is so awesome.
Thank you.
The land trust allowed families to take the first steps of setting up generational wealth. On that note, national award artwork on screen, if you could please, sir. Keith Smith, a national award winner, one of 30 people in America to be named a trendsetter by Riz Media, which is essentially the Forbes of real estate.
It is the Forbes.
Riz Media to real estate as Forbes is to finance.
So thank you.
Wall Street Journal.
I'm learning something here live, right? So
look at that wonderful graphic on screen. It's you, the Riz Media.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sarah Helbuchinsky sent that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, she's a rock star, so.
She is a rock star.
But again, I'm just looking at week over week at this point. So we've been not talking about inventory for a while, but it just seems like this same week versus the month last week, we've got double the inventory on the market.
And obviously I'm an optimist. We're entrepreneurs here. We're optimists by nature. Dude, with spring, with warm weather.
I'm really interested on this whole endemic thing. I really haven't given it a lot of thought, and thank you for putting that in between my two ears. What that impact is really going to have. And I'm not so
humongous impact. But
I don't think anybody's talking about that.
We've been talking about it for a month on this network.
Okay.
Have we not been talking about endemic for a month? He says yes. Even Judah, who would be quick to say no, Jerry, a month we've been saying endemic. And for those that are loyal watchers of the show, know we've been talking about this. I mean, what you said earlier in the show resonated with me. Like, one of the things, and we're just talking straight shooting here. One of the things we do well is
vision.
Like see people though.
Yeah.
Vision. Read and feel people.
So we're people, right?
We use that for negotiate. We use that for a number.
We're people.
We read the room. You can read the room. we can size someone up quickly. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I would say that's a tool I learned when I was attached to the State Department that was my education.
Very much a street smart tool.
Very much so. You've got to read the room. You've got to communicate in a way that you understand it, not me understand.
That's called code switching.
I have no idea what that means.
That is literally the definition.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Code switching.
It feels like it's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. Code switching is adapting vocabulary and vernacular and body language to have the folks that you're around feel comfortable.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay,
It feels wrong. It should be a better word than that.
Code switching.
Code switching just feels wrong.
When I notice the most cautious people throughout this pandemic,
Sure, I get
around me,
Sure.
Going into packed inside settings with people next to them, no mask on, completely eating, with children unvaccinated and unmasked next to them, feeling relaxed in the setting. That is a KPI.
So typically the way these things go, right? This had happened. Things started shutting down rapidly. Then we went into this holding pattern. And it's the reason I read that book, Pale Rider. I wanted to know in 1918, 1919, 1920, because we didn't have vaccinations. They didn't even know what they were looking at, physically looking at it. How did we transition as a society, as a country, as a world?
Because eventually...
Well, I know how the mechanics of it happened. It was herd immunity. Enough people died or got it that we kind of cured ourselves because there was no vaccination.
Eventually, the populace realizes that the mitigation strategies are heavier or worse than the risk of the pandemic.
So about 2 years ago...
You see what I'm saying?
I get it. About 2 years ago, you put this thing in my head that I have not been able to get out about where we are now, where we think we are now, right? Where we hope we are now, where we pray we are now, which is this endemic phase. You know what that is that you put in my head about 2 years ago?
That was a good use of endemic there.
Thank you.
I was proud.
Thank you.
That's an adjective.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
I've been writing down what to say for like 2 hours.
You
How
do love
long
that.
have we been talking? About
good.
an hour and 45
Excellent.
minutes.
Good work.
Yeah.
Your daughter's very, very pleased. She has more comments coming in.
Yeah, I did good.
Good job.
Good job.
Sticker.
Yeah. So I may be able to not write well, but I can talk. But 2 years ago, you put this in my head, and I poo-pooed you big time when you did it. That when this is over, are we going to go into kind of a 1920s style?
Yeah, the Roaring '20s.
Euphoria of that. Do you still feel that way?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That's a great
How do we
question.
not-
That's a great question for the feed.
Dude.
The people who are watching and listening to this think 6 months from now, 8
Yes.
months from now, 12 months from now,
Yes.
we will go into but one needs to historically understand what that meant, but
Well, what you're alluding to is after the Roaring '20s was the Great Depression.
no, I'm just talking about
But that's what you are alluding to.
Our chemistry did not work on that one.
You were not alluding
I was
to
not
that?
alluding to that. What I was alluding to was what was the Roaring '20s? What did it look like? What it was? Everybody watched Bonnie and Clyde or whatever it was. But
Sarah Hill Baczynski, I completely 1000% agree with what you just said. And I'm going to put this in, it's echoing what I just said. Previous pandemics ended not with the end of the disease, but when people decided life was worth living with the risk.
sure.
And that is literally how I have lived throughout the pandemic.
Well, I have.
Yeah.
Because
That is how I am not going to live my life in fear. It is the collateral damage of living your life in fear is far outweighs than the risk of the pandemic. At least for me, it was throughout this whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Paul McCarter's got a very pointed question about the land trust.
Sure.
Okay, very pointed. The land trust success story is good because that house is a few years old. Imagine when the house is 15 to 20 years old. The person had to invest in a new HVAC, roof, and other expensive updates, but yet only get $25,000 of $100,000 appreciation. Seems like they have the burden of home ownership without the benefit. Also, if the value drops, does the land trust cover 75% of the loss in equity?
Yeah, and great question, Paul, and it's something that we can surely get a cup of coffee and go over it on the end of it. He is not that wrong. It's frankly one of the reasons why we're relooking at our schedule, our split on that end of it. I was never personally a huge fan of the 25%. I inherited it when I took chairmanship of it. So Paul, so that you know, we're actually looking at this for that very reason, that exact very reason. Because at some point in time, the roof needs to get replaced, the HVAC system needs to get replaced. How does this actually work? The other problem, the other side of the equation, Paul, on this is I can't exceed 80% AMI.
Yeah,
and that's something we're looking at also, because the problem is if you're 80% AMI and the sales price is whatever it is, A, you've got to meet the income limits, and B, the sale price has to be at a point that somebody can afford it.
Yeah, you've priced out a lot of the people.
I can tell you we're about 30-to-1 ratio. So there's a couple of things that we're looking at, Paul, so that you know, and it's been ongoing, and hopefully we're re-looking at that ratio split. And the other thing we're looking at is certain projects or certain homes, like Maggie Walker, for instance, out of Richmond, they go up to 110, 115, 125
of AMI.
Of AMI.
So 80% or less of area median income. Area median income is currently $93,700 per household, according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Data.
Correct, yeah.
So you do some quick math on that.
Well, it gets even more complicated because it goes by the number of household folks in the household.
In the house.
Right. So
you're talking about 75K there.
It depends on how many people in the house. So I know a single person's 52 right now. I think 2 goes up to 60-something, 3, 70-something. So it kind of works its way up, which makes it even more complicated on that end of it. The point is, actually, I've got a meeting today with a bunch of Albemarle County people. The mousetrap is working. We need to fix, the mousetrap needs a bunch of tweaking. So Paul, we're on it.
All right, today was a phenomenal show.
Yeah, I'm really curious. That's the reason I read that book, what 6 and 12 months is going to look like.
Vanessa, I'm going to send him the link. She says, check out the history of Aluminum City Terrace in New Kensington, Pennsylvania. This could be a great starting point for UVA's project. Maybe the UVA Foundation could fund the initial development, then have a co-op buy out the dwellings and do the 99-year lease Keith refers to in order to cover the land and keep costs lower. My in-laws lived in the terrace for a bit as a young married couple. My mother-in-law said it was fun because there were so many young families and lots of kids. So Vanessa, Queen of Hurleysville, I'm going to send this link to Keith via direct message.
The text came through, by the way, so it was fine. It's just delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
Good. And we didn't get to this because I'm really concerned about the new Albemarle County affordable housing price point can't exceed $200,000. I can tell you at $243,750, which it is now, the builders are losing substantial. I mean, like $40,000 to $60,000 per unit to build, which is fine. I mean, they're willing to do that. I don't know how, in God's holy name, you get $205,000 to work. Somebody has to come up with a tremendous amount of cash. I'm talking, $150,000 just to be able to build something and sell it at that price point.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's thinking that one through. I know I wasn't part of that conversation, because if I was, I would have said that same very thing.
You're getting props on the show. Joanne Mackey, good show. I learned a lot. I'm going through a bidding process as I write. Very scary for the first-time buyer. I'm never leaving Glenmore. She says that. Thank you, Joanne Mackey, for watching. Vanessa Parkhill, Christopher Eagle, Katie Pearl. You guys all made us better today. The show is going to be archived in totality on ilovecville.com and wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, Sharon Cavender on Facebook is looking for 10 to 11 acres from you in Batesville.
Got it.
So follow up with her. That's in the feed right now. I tagged her. That's the program, guys. You see what we're all about. Long-form content that you can get no other place. besides the I Love CVille Network. There's no commercial interruption. It's folks that are stakeholders, influencers, and who care about the community, working hard to make the community better.
Would not have hit this trendsetter in the country, top 30, if it wasn't for you, Batman and Robin, and Alfred over there, Judah.
Get it on screen. Keith Smith, a national award winner.
For Judah, we would not have done that. And I will tell you, after I was announced and I was told about this, which I had no idea was going on, hence the shock sign, headshot on that. This show is referenced and what we do in this conversation that we have. So thank you, gentlemen. Couldn't do it without you.
Absolutely, our pleasure, guys. Keith Smith, Yes Realty Partners. Find them online at yesrealtypartners.com. A brand and a team you can trust with your listings in real estate, with helping you buy a home in real estate. Reach out to him, and reach out to him quickly, please.
One quick shout out, Ally Property, Suzanne Real is becoming a grandmother today. That's the reason why she didn't join us.
Congratulations. Suzanne Real. She is actually the property manager of one of my rentals at the villas in Southern Ridge. Suzanne Real.
She's a rock star.
I can speak from firsthand experience. So can you.
I can.
So that's the program. The I Love CVille show is up in 37 minutes. Thank you for joining us, guys. Take care.